Recently, the world celebrated a World Bee Day. Hollywood star and humanitarian Angelina Jolie joined the National Geographic to draw attention on World Bee Day to the urgent need to protect bees and to a UNESCO Girl-on program that trains women as beekeeper entrepreneurs. Photographer for the shoot was National Geographic photographer Dan Winters, who took inspiration from the Richard Avedon portrait.
I don't remember ever being as nervous about a photo shoot as I was with the bee shoot, because, if something happened, if she started to get stung, if bees start to sting, they can tell the other bees they're stinging, and then suddenly you have a stinging event. We had her get an allergy test 2 days before the shoot to make sure that she wasn't allergic, because she'd never been stung before. That Avedon photograph was something that Angelina had mentioned early on when we were talking about the project, about what to do with the bees. And so it's very tricky because, as you know, you can't really control the bees. And so we did as much preparation as we could to make it as safe as possible, but still had a paramedic standing by. We started to try to figure out how the best way to get the bees up there, and also what kind of bees we should use. And there's a strain of bees called Italian bees. They're from Italy, and they're the calmest bees there are. So we found a breeder who breeds these Italian bees. They're very uncommon now. So we found a breeder in Southern California that breeds Italian bees. So we contacted him and we got those kinds of bees for the shoot. We got 2 small hives from him for the shoot. And then we tried other methods of attracting the bees, and we decided that we had to figure out how they did it on that Avedon shoot. So I started to research that, and I found an article about how they did it, and it named the entomologist and the subject. And the beekeeper that I hired to work the job, Conrad Buffard, he tracked these guys down and found them. And the entomologist still had the same queen pheromone that they used 40 years ago, the same jar, literally the same jar. And he said, yeah, you guys can use it. So it's interesting because there's a deep connection to the Avedon photograph because of that. We actually use the same exact pheromone, which is an attractant. It smells like a queen, and they're very docile around a queen. And I put that on Angelina's body, on her neck and on her shoulders, and they went right for it. So that's how they did it then, 40 years ago. And we did the same thing. It worked perfectly.
It just felt lovely. It felt lovely to be that connected to these beautiful creatures. It felt that there's certainly a hum. There's a bzzz, some strange meditation, and you can't move, and you don't want to do anything so you have to be really still and in your body in the moment, which is not easy for me. So it was good for me, but. It was all quite an experience. Then you put a few things up your nose and in your ears so you don't give them as many holes to climb in. I did have one that got under my dress the entire time. And I kept feeling it on my knee, on my leg, my thing, and then I thought, this is the worst place to get stung. It's getting really close. And it stayed there the entire time we were doing the shoot. And then when I got all the other bees off, I lifted the skirt and he went away.
Dan Winter has been photographing more than 35 years. During his long career, he collaborated with many influential magazines, National Geographic, Rolling Stone, Times, and many more. But photographer is mostly known for portraits.
I found that I gravitated towards photographers who kind of specialized in portraiture. Irving Penn was a big inspiration for me and a big influence on me. And, he was one of the great portrait photographers of the 20th century. And I really started as a very young photographer. I started, photographing portraits of all my friends and people that would sit for me, and really love, as I do a lot of different kinds of work, but my portrait work is probably, the best known work that I do. And I genuinely love interacting with people. The Tupac is a really interesting story. And I learned a lot from Tupac that day, because Tupac wanted to listen to a certain record. He asked me if I had a certain record in my collection. It was a record called August and Everything After by the Counting Crows. And it's the furthest thing from hip hop. It's like a kind of a mellow rock album, but it's like a really beautifully crafted, beautiful album. But it's very different from the genre that he works in. And I kind of walked away with the idea that we have to look outside of our own genre, our own kind of music, our own kind of photography, in order to find inspiration to bring back into our genre. And when I tell my son's friends that he wanted to listen to that album, none of them believe me, because they're like, why would he want to listen to some rock record? But the truth is, it's a great record. And, a musician can hear that it's a great record, regardless of what the genre is. So, but yeah, he was very kind. I really liked him. So we listened to that record 3 full times. So about an hour and a half, 2 hours, probably. That's how long the shoot was.
Then you have photographed 2 presidents of the United States, Barack Obama and George Bush. So how it was?
I really had fun photographing Obama. I photographed him twice, and both times it was. It's never, if I have Angelina, we had much time, 4 hours or something like that. But with Obama, it's like 10 minutes. But I don't know, something about shooting a historical figure and trying to make a historical photograph. There's a lot of pressure, and I like that challenge. I like the challenge of trying to make a photograph that has lasting power. That in 50 years or 100 years, it'll still be a photograph of record. So I really like photographing him. Photographed George Bush, yeah. I photographed him up at his ranch. I didn't really want to do that shoot, to be honest with you, because I didn't really agree with his politics. But my wife convinced me that it would be a good thing for me to do a shoot. And we had the greatest time. Like, we had such a fun time. He was so funny, and it was really enjoyable.
Then you have many amazing photos, but I want to ask about one photo with Brad Pitt and Quentin Tarantino. In this photo, Brad Pitt is cinematographer.
Yeah, the one where Brad Pitt is videotaping the movie and Quentin is talking on the phone, and the little kid is like scared to death. That's a funny one. Yeah, that was for a story for Wired magazine about etiquette in the digital world. The idea of like, how do we behave with this technology? And that was a kind of a big shoot with Brad. And it was actually interesting. Quentin wasn't supposed to be a part of the shoot. It was just supposed to be Brad. And we got this idea of, hey, is Quentin in town right now? And Brad's like, I think he is. And it's like, oh, let's call him and see if he'll come over. So Brad called him up, and then he said, yeah, I'll be there in a half hour. So he came to the shoot just for that picture, which was nice because we hadn't planned that he would come to the shoot,
Then you are working in different areas, including aerospace and space shuttle launches, and also met Elon Musk.
Yeah, the aerospace stuff I have a passion for that subject matter. And I think the great thing about photography for me has always been that we can use our interest in photography to fulfill our other interests, because usually photography can be applied to any kind of any interest, So I photographed insects in the past. I photographed aerospace, a lot of aerospace. I just did a launch. We shot a few months back, we shot one of the Staship launches. It was one of the ones where it exploded. When it landed, we shot that. And then And then, yeah, I mean, if Elon has his way, people will be on Mars sooner than later, for sure. I think, they just got the contract to build the lunar lander for 2024. So that'll be a man and a woman on the moon in 2024, which is pretty exciting. That's called the Artemis program. And we're doing some stuff on that, doing a project on that for National Geographic, which I'm pretty excited about. He's a really, I think we had a half hour with him, and I ended up using up a lot of my time just talking about aerospace and his ideas about this and his ideas about propulsion and other things. But the thing I like about Elon, and he was just on Saturday Night Live a couple weeks ago, and he, in his opening monologue, talked about having Asperger's, which I kind of thought he had Asperger's when I was dealing with him, actually. But one thing about Elon that I really like is he takes his time when he answers a question. So you ask him a question, and you can tell that he's really like developing and creating an answer for you. He's not like waiting to talk. He's one of those people that you ask him a question and he kind of like takes a moment and then responds. And it seemed, very mannered. And I like that about him. I like that I felt like he really considered the question thoroughly and then responded, which was kind of a cool thing, I thought.
Thank you, Dan, for the interview. Hope you will come also in Georgia and took photos our country.
Right. Well, I would love to. I've researched Georgia a fair amount in the past, and it looks like a really beautiful place. You're very welcome. Take care. Thank you. Bye.